Well, welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. Boy, if it could go wrong, it did go wrong in that opening, Jay.
I was gonna say I didn't hear no music. My head, I'm like, come on.
Well, let's play the music because I know how much you enjoy that, and it gets us off to a really good start.
There we go.
Welcome everybody to Fan for Racing Radio.
See, that went so much better, yeah.
All Sports All Day says, "What's up?"
You've been waiting on us.
Yep, we're getting things started here, All Sports All Day. And we're glad to have you here too, by the way. Let's go ahead and get into our Hot Topic Sound Off. This is episode number 2609. So welcome to Martinsville Magic and Madness. This is Hot Topic Sound Off, and what a wild weekend of short track madness we've got to break down. Magic and madness. From tight corners and tempers of Martinsville Speedway to the historic grit of Hickory Motor Speedway, the action did not disappoint this weekend, Jay. The NASCAR Cup Series brought the beating and banging we expect at Martinsville. We had chrome horns, late race drama, and drivers pushing the limit when it mattered the most. Meanwhile, the O'Reilly Series delivered its own brand of short track intensity. Hungry drivers, bold moves, and a fight for every inch on that paper clip-shaped battleground. And over at Hickory, the ARCA East Series kicked things off with a gritty showdown where rising stars made their mark and set the tone for the season ahead. Tonight, Jay and I are diving into the biggest storylines, the drivers who impressed, the ones who stirred the pot, and the moments everyone is talking about all week long. So buckle up, everybody, because short track tempers are flaring. Good things are happening, and we're sounding off on all of it here at Fan for Racing Radio. So, Jay, what do you think?
Short track. I mean, wasn't anything unexpected. I don't know that there was anything I would call over the line. Was there aggression? Yes. Was there some misjudgment? Sure. And I said at one of our last preview, I said, I don't know if I have any more teasers. I said, I'd just go with somebody's going to be mad at somebody. And yeah, it all happened, right?
Okay. The Cup Series, All Sports All Day gives the Cup Series a 5 out of 10. The O'Reilly Series gets an 8 out of 10. And the Whelen Modified Tour, a 7 out of 10. And he wasn't able to watch the ARCA race, Jay, because he was over there watching the 10,000 to 10. Or is it 100,000? That might a million to 10 Cars Tour. So he said, I chose to watch the Cars Tour over the ARCA East, so he's not watched that one yet. And I'm not sure what do you mean? Explain the O'Reilly over Cup.
Because he's got O'Reilly as 8 out of 10 and Cup Series as 5 out of 10, and I had it the other way.
Okay, I thought stage 2 of Cup was one of the dullest stages in recent memory. That clouded my judgment a bit. O'Reilly at the end, watching Pulliam was awesome, and Raja and Love were so cool. I agree with you. I think both of those drivers were very cool.
And that's kind of the feeling I got, honestly, in watching the beginning of the Cup race. I was prepared for social media to blow up of boring race. Hamlin dominated, never was challenged for the lead. To see that one kind of switch over. But I kind of felt the O'Reilly had the same thing. I think Algar had the best car. Yeah, it could have come out differently. I feel so bad for Pulliam of pulling the wrong gear or whatever happened with him. So I would have ranked them both up there at maybe 7 or 8 based on that, though, because there really was one dominant driver. It just didn't end that way on the Cup. That's why I was curious. And I kind of felt that to me, the ARCA then would already upped it to a 6 out of 10 for Cup. It wasn't a thrilling side-by-side battle between Chase Elliott and Hamlin like we saw in the O'Reilly Auto Parts. So I would give the edge to the O'Reilly, or more so to the ARCA East, which there was plenty of that, and that's where a lot of our controversy comes in.
He says, I heard the ARCA East got crazy, can't wait to watch. And he's right. You heard right.
Yeah, that one was. And I think we're going to start there, and we'll do kind of a race recap and then go into any hot topics we got, right, Sharon?
Exactly. Now we're going to start with the ARCA. We're going to start with the NASCAR O'Reilly Series because that was the first race of the weekend.
I got you.
We'll then go to the ARCA East Series. That was the second race of the weekend. And we'll finish off with the NASCAR Cup Series. So that's the order that we're going to go in. O'Reilly just had, I would say, a more intriguing ending by a tiny bit. Okay.
And that's bad on me. I pulled it up, but I hadn't opened up the email on the order. So, yeah, I was going to ARCA East first, but you got it as O'Reilly. Yes. Based on how they ran, I know that's how we did the preview, so I should have known that. But, yeah, again, first off, though, was it unexpected? No. Justin Allgaier is good at Martinsville. Junior Motorsports is good at Martinsville. Both of them combined on an absolute tear, carrying from last year into this year. So is it really a surprise? No, I don't think so. I think we did have what I put into our hot topics discussion was more Junior Motorsports with Lee Pulliam, and he's 37. I had him a little older. I had him at 39.
Let's go in order, Jay.
Okay. Well, sorry.
Yeah. We're talking about the early season dominance of Justin Allgaier. Do you think he's untouchable? He's won 3 straight now. He won from the pole, and we're going to go over the top 10 finishers as well. But let's address the 2 questions here. Is he untouchable with the 3 straight wins that he's had?
Sadly enough, especially when it comes to Justin Allgaier, we've seen he's not. A lot of times it is not even of his own doing, but a mechanical issue or something going wrong. We've seen many times him be out front and lose a race. Something breaks or whatever, caution falls wrong, and just it doesn't work out for him. But he really has become the standard. I know he isn't a multi-time champion, but he certainly could be. And I think overall, when you look at how he's running, how he's performing, I think he is the most dominant driver in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
He is right now, and he's a veteran driver, and that track does favor veterans. But we saw a great performance, and we'll talk about this later too, from one of the newbies in the series. But let's go over the top 10 finishers here in the O'Reilly Series. Justin Allgaier got 67 points this weekend. His win margin was 0.258 seconds over second place driver Corey Day, and he led a total of 114 laps. It was Justin Allgaier in first place, Corey Day in second, Sammy Smith with a solid top 3 finish, followed by Sheldon Creed in fourth, and Lee Pulliam. I was so happy to see him out front leading laps. And I thought maybe he was going to pull it off until that late restart kind of turned things around. But really happy to see Lee Pulliam having a great run there. Austin Hill in sixth, Dean Thompson with a 7th place finish. Then it was Ross Chastain in 8th, Ryan Sieg in 9th, and Brent Cruz, who's going to be racing full-time now, in that 10th place spot. Your thoughts there about our top 10, Jay?
Well, you look at it, Justin Allgaier, 3 for 114, and I really thought Pulliam did a little bit better than that. Shows him leading 2 times for 40 laps. A side-by-side battle between him and Allgaier, I think, would have been really interesting. I know he was pretty hard on himself, apologizing to the crew, and it was Dale Jr. who said, hey, stuff happens, shake it off. You've made us proud by your performance, no matter where you finish at this point. So that was good. Corey Day, we saw what Connor Zilic did last year. I think we're starting to see what Corey Day can do. And as the season progresses. So that'll be interesting. My guy that I say I've been watching all year as far as the organization, Sheldon Creed, another solid performance there. Those at the tail end of the top 10, I know there was a lot of shuffle up in that last restart, guys getting bunched up. And honestly, I had to check a recap because my recording ended after the red flag. I didn't get to see anything out. Yeah, time ran out, and then it didn't record for some reason.
Yeah, it was Jesse Love ended up with that 12th place finish. We'll talk about him in a little bit as well. But 3 wins so far already in 26 for Justin Allgaier. Junior Motorsports now has 5 straight races, have won the 5 straight races, flirting with historic territory again here. We've been making history just all over the place, Jay.
Yeah, and All Sports All Day there says statistically Day has got to be considered a championship contender. Pretty sure the only person with a better average is Allgaier, and that is our statistician, if you will, here at Fan for Racing. So I won't question All Sports All Day. He certainly has. I mean, there's a couple of them that have been very consistent, and he has certainly developed into that, and we don't hear the story of over aggression in it like we did to start this season. I think that's a huge thing.
I think that is huge. I think he's shown a lot of maturity, a willingness to learn. He has humility. I like that part of it as well. And I was glad Junior kind of stepped in there and said that they were proud of him. Day has been, I think, a pretty good racer so far this season. And I'm really impressed with what we saw at Martinsville. Again, we're going to talk about that. But Allgaier's and Junior Motorsports has been really big this season as well. Anything else you want to say about the top 10 here?
No, again, you mentioned the rookie, Brent Cruz there, getting that 10th place finish. He is now full-time. I think he's already got 1 or maybe even 2 more top 10s than his other rookie competitors already. He's another one. Let's see what he can do now that he's in full-time and just goes at it. And we've seen what he can do already in the limited start. So look forward to the rest of the season with Brent Cruz.
Absolutely. A 10th place finish at a track like Martinsville is a pretty darn good job for a new driver. I want to talk about Jesse Love for a minute here too. There was a situation, and Jay, you brought this one up. He showed love, maturity, and calmness in a situation while his crew chief loses his cool. That was at the end of the race when they were talking, right?
Yeah, that was one that I picked up on X. Danny Stockman, crew chief, is the one that went at driver Rajah Caruth. And Jesse Love, as the driver, came in and kind of separated him and Rajah, and they went and had their own conversation. Right. Stockman was the one a little off the handle from what I saw. I'm not judging. I'm just trying to give what I read.
Well, and it's what we saw too after the race.
Okay, and I didn't get to see that, but yeah, and Rajah apparently said, yeah, that was my fault, and the 2 drivers worked it out. That's kind of ironic, because like I said, it was the headline was the crew chief, the one making threats and telling him to buckle up. I'm like, you aren't even in the car to do anything about it. And Jesse Love comes along, and we've talked about that as far as maturity of drivers. Jesse Love is one of those that is generally pretty calm and maintains himself.
And I would designate that as a little bit of madness and magic to have a younger driver like that to come in and kind of calm the situation down, put the water on the fire and kind of keep things moving in the right direction. I really liked what we saw out of Jesse Love. And even though he got that 12th place finish, he still remained very calm and just talked it out with Rajah Caruth, and Rajah was pretty calm as well, took ownership of it. And I think, to me, that was magic happening right there. We saw a lot of maturity there, but, a little bit of madness from the crew chief. But he did walk away. you know,
Well,
when
and that goes to, again, he was willing to take responsibility for it. So to have crew chief, especially, coming at him, he's like, hold up, you haven't even let me say it's my fault. Give me a break.
exactly. I thought that was a pretty cool moment of the weekend. But there were some other short track drivers that were shining this weekend as well. You had Sammy Smith with that top 3 finish. Sheldon Creed had a top 4. He actually finished top 4. And we talked about Lee Pulliam. So cool to see him leading those laps in this race. This is kind of his track, if you will. We're the visitors. He's the one who kind of owns this track in the modified world.
Well, and that's where I included it really when you look at junior motorsports as an organization with one-off drivers. Yes, it's at short tracks with short track drivers. And I go back to Bubba Pollard. I believe he had all top 10s except one. All Sports All Day, I'd have to back that up, but I didn't pull the stats. Just when they bring a driver in like that, it's for a reason. Sharon, you mentioned it, of the track history, a late model expert there, in Pulliam's case, modifieds. But to see him be able to step in and perform in an O'Reilly car, good equipment that Junior Motorsports provides, it's not like they shortchange them and just say, here, we'll give you a ride, you're on your own. They're behind them, man. And I think that's great. And I think that's what Junior Motorsports, Dale Jr., especially going back to Champs 2 Motorsports, has been about, of giving that opportunity. Can he do it full time for everybody? No. All right. So, okay. I thought Pulliam did have late model experience as well, but certainly had the track experience at Martinsville, and he showed it. And again, so close. I would have loved to have seen that side by side between him and Algar to see who really could battle it out.
That would have been really, really cool. He races the late models too. He also said, going back to the previous conversation, I like to see fights, but not between those two. Happy they talked it out. I agree with you all Sports All Day on that, with regard to the Jesse Love and Raja Caruth situation there. But again, I was really happy to see Pulliam in the race. I like that they're bringing drivers from other disciplines into the series and letting them kind of have their time to shine within the NASCAR's top 3 as well. It's the first time Lee Pulliam's ever done it. And I think he's in his 30s or something. So
37. When we did the preview, I said around 39. He's 37. I had him a couple years older.
Yeah, he's all late models. They have that 300 lap race at Martinsville that he's won before. Exactly. Yep. He's won at Martinsville before in these other series. So, and he's raced at Martinsville quite frequently because he's from the area there. So that's why I kind of call it his track, and we're the visitors in this case. So I think that's pretty cool. Sheldon Creed.
So now I'm going to start some controversy with All Sports. That's why I think Jesse Love is the one that's ready for Cup over Austin Hill when it comes to RCR. I know All Sports All Day and I have had that disagreement before, but this is why I see Jesse Love as the one to move up before him, and I think anyway.
Yes, and I can see where he's coming from, though. Hold on. I was trying to take this off the stage. Yeah, I can see where he's coming from, though, but I also agree with you. So I see both sides of it, if you will. Do we want to talk more about Corey Day's breakout run? I thought it was fantastic. I would put him up there with Connor Zilic last year. He's not winning races yet, but he's got a little bit different background than Connor Zilic too. He finished second. That's his best finish. He led laps and stayed in contention. I think he's a rising contender that's breaking through. I would say he's part of the magic of Martinsville.
He certainly is. And I do think, as All Sports All Day said, I do think he is going to be a championship contender. Without a doubt, he's settled down already. What we've seen is he's always been consistent. It's a matter of that aggression of when and how to use it. And making a smart judgment of maybe now isn't the time. And I think we saw a little bit more of that over the past 2 to 3 races. He started 7th, finished 2nd, as you mentioned, got 9 points in stage 2, finishing 2nd, and then 2nd in the race, led one time for 37 laps. I mean, that tells you he was in contention all day.
Yes, he was in contention all day for sure. And All Sports All Day says, to be clear, Love is way more ready than Hill. I was just saying that RCR is more loyal to Hill than Love.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. They're both getting their starts this year at the Cup level. Sponsorship obviously comes into play. I don't know who's got the better backing there. Or contract wise, because I know that came up as part of the discussion of Austin Hill not jumping ship last year already. If he was guaranteed something, we don't know that.
That's true. Okay, now also there were 13 cautions that shook up the field throughout the day in this race as well. And Day managed his way through all 13 of those cautions. There was one big one that we'll talk about in a little bit, but Day managed to get through that. So I thought that was fantastic. It just showed some more skill, I think, that he has.
And that's where I say I think that maturity and experience of I don't always have to be full throttle and push my way through. I can maneuver my way through. Like you said, show that talent and skill and work your way through it. If I end up in the back, not run over people to the front, but work my way to the front.
Exactly right. Do you want to cover the points here, the points gap? Because Justin Allgaier's got more than a race worth of points gap here.
And this is where it really has of talking about how dominant he's been. 92 points over Jesse Love now. Got 3 race wins as well as 3 stage wins. Jesse Love with just 2 stage wins. Then you got Sheldon Creed, who does have a victory, as well as Austin Hill in 4th and 5th. And you're talking already 100 points behind at minus 116 and minus 122. Carson Cavapel is the one that I feel kind of took a hit. And I would have thought being a short track late model driver would have been a little bit more prevalent, but really didn't hear a whole lot out of him through this race. But then Sammy Smith. And Sammy Smith is one of those full throttle. He does good or he has a DNF or a wreck. I think needs to learn some of that from Junior Motorsports teammates of settle down and just take a solid finish versus trying for a big finish and ending up with a wrecked one. Then you got Corey Diaz up to 7th. Brandon Jones, another one, started up front but kind of got shuffled back and never heard from again. Parker Retzlaff, Raja Cruz, Sam Mayer, and Taylor Gray. Then, and Taylor Gray being 12th is where the cut line in is at 164. Anthony Alfredo, 144, 20 below the cut line. William Sawalich, another 1 point back. Ryan Sieg, 3 back. And then 1 back to Brennan Poole. Jeb Burton, Patrick Starpoli, Blaine Perkins, Dean Thompson, and Brent Cruz. And here, again, Brent Cruz, 3 races compared to 7, already in 21st and climbing. That tells me what he's capable of. It wouldn't surprise me to see him get into the top 12 and make the chase. But starting at the bottom of the chase, a lot of your analysts are saying once the chase starts, you got to be in the top 6 or have an absolute perfect 10 races and finishing top 1 or 2 to come back from 12th, up to the top.
Yeah, we had some movers in this race. Snyder wasn't in the race, so he took a nosedive. But looking at the top here, a lot of people stayed the same up in the top 10, Jay. Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Carson Cavapel, Sammy Smith, Corey Day, Parker Retzlaff, all stayed exactly where they were when they came in, as far as they didn't shift up or down. Sheldon Creed went up 1 while Austin Hill went down 1. Brandon Jones, even though he kind of lost at the end there, he went up 3 points, so he gained some points this race. He went up 3 spots. Raja Caruth went down 2, and Sam Mayer went down 1. So that's where Brandon Jones moved up on the list there. Anthony Alfredo moved up 4 spots, so he's on the move, as is Ryan Sieg up 3 spots, and William Sawalich up 1. And then the guys, for those that went up, you had your 3 that went down. Brendan Poole down 2, Jeff Burton down 4, and Patrick Sarapoli down 2. Dean Thompson moved up 7 spots. Big day for him.
And that's where you get that down at the bottom of, the jumps a lot more. When you have the top 10 to 12 and they're finishing in the top 10 and 12, you're not going to see those big jumps like that, barring a win and getting the 15 points. But Allgaier is the one paying Pac-Man and gobbling those up.
Yes, he is. Okay. Anything else you want to kind of point out there?
No, it'll be interesting. Obviously, I'll be watching William Sawalich. I know you said he gained 1 more, but I think he actually lost a few points based on the gap. I don't have that handy from comparing to last week's, but he's just right there, so close. I'd like to see once we get to the road courses, because he excelled there. That's where he has his 2nd place finish. But again, he's got to, and JGR we know is kind of turning in the right direction. He and that team specifically need to find some consistency, not be in that melee in the back when it happens and have to try and dodge. Was it duck, dip, dive, and dodge from dodgeball? Because he always seems to be in the middle of it.
Well, and Chevrolet has really been dominating, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But JGR is working on coming back there. I will say that it does kind of put pressure on the other drivers, though. They can't stay where they're at if they want to move forward and be in that chase when the time comes. The fact that Justin Allgaier is so far ahead, I think, does put some pressure on some of the other drivers to start, making things happen. Do you think that's going to change the racing?
No, being that you don't have the win and you're in, it will for positions. And again, you want to be as high as you can be going into the chase, because they reset based on the standings. And then again, I don't have that outline in front of me. I believe from 1st to 2nd is going to be a 25-point gap, rewarding the regular season champion. And yeah, if you give, let's just say it plays out the way it is, if you give Justin Allgaier a 25-point gap to start with, and you got to try and catch up to him over 10 races, and he's running top 5 in winning races, you're up against a monster. Yep.
Now, I will say, too, Martinsville does have a way of proving that you can go from being a contender to an afterthought, once something happens, like those cautions that came up.
And the one thing I look at, we've talked about a couple different drivers I've been on, William Sawalich, is consistency. Well, guess what? We already know that Justin Allgaier and Junior Motorsports can provide consistency. They're on streaks of consistency, top 10s and whatnot. So, yeah, that doesn't bode well, and especially if you give them that points gap to start.
Exactly right. Let's talk about the Chevrolet flexing their muscle. I think they were saying, let me go back and look at this as far as the results for the Chevrolet, I think had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 10 drivers were Chevrolet drivers. So they have in the top 10 in this series. So Chevy has swept much of the top 10. They're the dominating manufacturer right now. Can anybody really compete with them? And I would say Chevrolet is pretty much the dominant OEM in the O'Reilly series.
It is by pure numbers, first off, and I'm looking of trying to even find who is running Ford this year. Nick Sanchez is one of them, and then Luke Baldwin, and that's a second-tier organization. When Haas Factory switched over from Ford to Chevrolet, I mean, Ford really, and Penske withdrew. Ford really lost everything they had pretty much in the O'Reilly. Now, Toyota this year has been lacking a little bit with JGR, as we mentioned. I think we'll see that start to even out a little bit, but Chevrolet is going to be so far ahead. But they do, by pure numbers, just looking at it, of JGR, I believe, has 4 teams. And then you have some of the others. See, Brandon Jones, that's the one that kills me. Qualified third and ended up 18th, led lap number 1, and that was it. Just disappeared. And I'm trying to remember why.
Yeah. Well, Brandon Jones is a good contender at Martinsville, though, too. I think that he got bumped early and into the wall, and I think it sent him to the back.
But never recovered. Yeah, just never recovered. That was what surprised me.
Yeah, yeah. So Chevrolet, they are picking up where they left off last year, as well as Junior Motorsports. They're picking up exactly where they left off. Even the finishers for Junior Motorsports, you had Allgaier, Day, Sammy Smith.
Pulliam was in 5th.
Jesse Love finished 12th. Pulliam, in 5th. So out of those top 5, 4 of them were from Junior Motorsports. So Junior Motorsports and Chevy are just picking up where they left off, I think, last year. It goes hand in hand.
Until we get one of these other teams that develop into a top organization, or a team backs them of Toyota or Ford, which would have to be, I know Roush Fenwick Keselowski has talked about maybe coming back to the O'Reilly, which would be a Ford team then, most likely. I don't see that changing. But for whatever reason, Ford has opted to not put their efforts in the O'Reilly series.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't really paid off for them lately, so I can kind of see where they're coming from there. Any other thoughts on the O'Reilly series from anybody who's tuning in? Let us know what your thoughts are here on the O'Reilly series. Just to kind of close it up, we've kind of talked about Allgaier plus Junior Motorsports equals early title favorites. I'd say I'd throw Chevy into that as well in the O'Reilly series. Corey Day is emerging as a real contender as a rookie, and the points gap is already a headline for this series as well.
Yeah, the couple I look at as far as not your top, last year we had Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Austin Hill, and Carson Kvapil, and they are 4 of the top 5. Sheldon Creed, the one in there this year, and I do think he will be a contender. We'll go with making it into the top 6 and having that shot at it. The others, we got to see what kind of consistency we see through the season. Mentioned JGR, Brandon Jones, Sam Merritt, the tail end there, and then Taylor Gray right on the cut line. Again, we got to see if JGR gets the ship righted.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at who made it to victory lane in the ARCA East Series at Hickory Motor Speedway this weekend. And just keeping it on Tristan McKee right now, he steals the win dramatically, growing his reputation early in his career. He won his first race that he ran in the ARCA Menards platform, and that was at Watkins Glen on a road course. But to come to a track like Hickory and to steal that win the way that he did, I think shows a lot of maturity from him as well as a driver.
Yeah, I don't know if I consider this one of a steal because it was a three car battle.
Well,
Um,
that's true.
yeah, stat wise, if you look at it, and we'll talk about Max Reeve and his domination of it, but Reeves was right there with him throughout the entire thing. And this is kind of what I predicted on the preview show. Of initially said it was all Max Reeves. I said no, there were some other contenders. One of them being Landon Huffman. It wasn't one of them I would have counted in that mix, but certainly was as it played out. So I thought it was a great race, and all sports all day. You might have to put your fingers in your ear here if you haven't watched it yet and don't want to hear about it. But the whole outcome of it isn't one I would say was anything other than what to possibly expect at a short track, honestly. Was there some aggressive moves? Yes. Was there any outrageous ran over them? I didn't think so. If you're the one that got wrecked out, you have a different opinion.
Yes. I was going to say it's all a matter of perspective, I think. So, but kudos to Tristan McKee taking advantage of the situation as it unraveled. He was in the right place at the right time to move right in there and to take that spot. And he avoided the confrontation there. All right, I kind of had a feeling what happened.
Yeah, even if you know you want to watch it, I'll tell you that.
He says it's all right. I kind of have a feeling of what happened. Yeah, Tristan McKee certainly ran a good race and just waited for his opportunity, and that opportunity did come. But let's take a look at the. I'm going to change what we're looking at here for the screen because we can take a look here at the. Hold on. I got to take this one down, our Victor Lane photo. And now I'm going to put up a share screen. We'll take a look at the top 10 here for the Cookout 200. You've got Tristan McKee, of course, in that number one spot. In second place, just 0.5 seconds from the back. Behind him was Max Reeves, another rookie, finishing in second. Then it was Isaac Kitzmiller, last year's champion, in third place. Derek Nealon, who had a debut here, that's right. That's the same Derek Nealon that is a crew chief in the NASCAR ranks. He came in fourth. Nick Tucker in fifth from Nitro Motorsports. Landon Huffman finished in sixth. Destiny Spurlock finished in seventh. She's making history as the first African-American female to race in ARCA. Jackson McLaren came home in eighth place. Craig Pellegrini Jr. finished in ninth, followed by Austin Vaughn in 10th. Let me go down the list here. George Siciliano, the guy who is from Cletus McFarland's channel, they call him the Squirrely Nut. He had that 13th place finish. Connor Hall came home in 15th. Let's see if there's any other people that we want to point out here. Any others you want to point out, Jay?
Not by driver per se. You mentioned talking about history. I believe that was the first time that Max Reeves did not win in the East Series, if I'm not mistaken. That was Isaac Kitzmiller's best finish of third. And then you mentioned Derek Nealon getting the start, so obviously his best finish as well as Destiny's. But also then look at 8 on the lead lap. Again, this is a short track. When we talk about the ARCA Menards East Series, there's obviously some deeper teams when it comes to that. So, yeah, 9th on back, we're 2 or more laps down. So that kind of tells you that did we see everybody towards the front that I thought would be there? Yeah, minus. I don't know that there's any others that I would have necessarily put up there without question.
Yeah,
I think all the favorites were towards the front.
Another thing that kind of pops out at me, Jay, is that if you look at this, the top 10 drivers, 8 of them have an asterisk next to their name, indicating that they are rookies. So this is a young, new group of drivers that are really coming through here. I don't know why Isaac Kitzmiller has an asterisk, though.
You know, and I did see that, but I was like, no, because, and I don't know if Max Reeve actually qualifies because he didn't run full time last year.
He didn't run full
but
time.
Isaac Kitzmiller certainly shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I just noticed that. So make that 7 out of 10. But that's a lot of young, new drivers coming up through the series. I don't know how many of these are one-offs, but it's interesting to see that many new people coming into the series.
And this is what I said on the preview, and it kind of showed it. That I think for the championship, you're looking at it being between Tristan McKee and Max Reeves. Kitzmiller can hang with him. I'm not taking anything away from him, but we haven't seen him dominate and win like we have these other two when they show up. So I do think it is between the two of them. Tristan McKee got that first blow in by getting this first victory. So it'll be an interesting season, and I hope that Isaac Kitzmiller does win some races and mixes it up even more so with.
Well, everything that I've read in the past with this series, that asterisk indicates a rookie. McNeilin, they said it's the first time he's run in the ARCA East, and everything that I've read about him is that this was his debut. And so, and McLaren ran full-time. Where did McLaren run full-time?
Yeah, I don't know if it, like you said, of it because it wasn't in the East Series, but I did question that when I saw that many stars next to the names, especially Isaac Kitzmiller, knowing he's not because he's your defending champion. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be that it's just a typo with that many asterisks, but that did jump out at me just looking at it.
But that is what you get when you talk about this East Series like that, and we've seen that in the past of generally you only talk about one or two because of the standout performance they have, but a lot of them are rookies and running full-time in a sanctioned series like this full-time. So, and again, I'm not going to argue with All Sports All Day. He's got more stats than we do.
He says that he ran, I'm pretty sure, every East race last year. McLaren? Oh.
I know he did several because we talked about him several times last year.
Well, then that has to be a typo on there. I don't know why they have so many asterisks.
Somebody got a little star happy, I guess.
I guess so. Okay.
But thank you, All Sports. I was pretty sure that there were too many starred there.
And I'm thinking about our notes too. I was trying to go to our notes because I think in there they were talking about, because I know when we did the preview, they were talking about debuts for all these people.
Let's see.
In his East debut, under the Derek Nealon comment.
Now, Nealon was, I think, in the East, as far as the East series. Yeah.
Maybe he ran other series.
That could be.
And let me see.
I don't see McLaren. McLaren's towards the bottom. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about his rookie status. Yeah, we'll have to look into that because I'm not sure that those are all rookies, though.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to look into that and figure out why it was like that because that is confusing. Okay. I'm sorry. Nealon ran a few West races. My fault. Okay.
Yeah, I knew we had talked about this being his East Series debut, though.
Right. They did say East Series. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you for pointing that out to us because I thought that was an awful lot of asterisks next to those names. Typically, that does mean rookie, but who knows? If somebody got a little asterisk happy there.
Well, and I say McKee and Reeves, I think, do qualify because they didn't run full time last year.
Correct.
Kitzmiller and McLaren would be the only two that I would question as far as that.
Okay. It's still more than half then, let's just say, of the top 10 that were rookies.
And I thought they put on a good show. Again, I don't feel it was like a big demo derby. Again, mentioned that there were only 8 cars on the lead lap. That has to do more with the organization and quality of team. But I didn't think it was a demo derby wreck fest. Again, I'm not saying there wasn't aggression and bumping and banging, but I thought it was reasonable short track racing.
Sure. He says, man, ARCA rookie classifications are so damn confusing. It can be. I agree.
True as well, yes.
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the number 2 driver, Max Reeve. He dominated most of the race, but he lost it late. He was the pole sitter. He led 184 of 200 laps. He controlled most of the race, but late contact and a heated restart cost him the win and finishing in second. And I thought a second place finish was still a good finish for him, but he is a competitor, and we know sometimes competitors are not happy with second. They want to win all of them if they can. And I'm sure that Max Reeves felt that that race was his to win and that it was taken away from him. He had a little bit of an attitude in his post-race comments, Jay.
Yeah, that's where I really keyed in. We know his talent. We've seen it with what he did last year in limited starts, both in the East as well as the ARCA Menards. The first, he did give props to PRG Racing and Tyler McCree, but then went on the attack, if you will, saying the 9 tried to wipe everybody out. Again, was there aggression and bumping and banging? Yes. Are you at a short track? Yes. Have you done your own bumping and banging? Yes. So then what really caught my attention was as the crowd was kind of booing, he wanted to play into it, but he compared himself to Kyle Busch doing the Tears interview. And I'm like, yeah, but Kyle did it after he won, not finished second.
Right. Yeah. He was a little frustrated, and I get that. Heat of the moment, you get a microphone in your face and you got to say something. And sometimes the right things don't always come out. So I kind of get that. He's still young. So there's maturity side of that. He's used to winning just about every time he gets in the car. So for him to come home with that second place finish, I'm sure was a huge disappointment for him. But I agree. His comments didn't necessarily come off very well.
Well, and then too, and this one I can't quote exactly, but something to the effect of this team can't be touched or something.
Oh, you know, again, about, there's a reason I'm in. JGR has me in this car.
Yeah. Again, there is that line between confidence and arrogance or cocky. And I think he crossed a little bit too far. You know, again, like I said, was Huffman aggressive? Yeah, but there was an opening. He stuck his nose down there. It's a short track. That's what you expect to some degree. I don't feel like he dove in there, used other cars to break himself. I mean, you know, just drove it in there and hoped for the best, you know. So I don't have that. But that goes back to, again, you're right, frustrated. He had that race, totally controlled it, ended up second. I get that frustration.
Well, and he came off, though, with a little bit of a superiority complex. Let's see. All Sports All Day says he's been Bobby Labonte's protege. He better be winning in JGR equipment. No, you guys got me so damn excited to watch that race. Well, I'm so glad that you're excited about watching it. Like I say, Reeves does dominate it most of the race, but I think his attitude did not gain him a lot of fans. They were booing in the stands. at some of the comments I think that he was making. And I like Bobby Labonte. I'm sure, I have no doubt that they are sitting down and talking about those comments and how he may have done himself more harm than good with some of those commentary, some of that commentary.
And that's one to acknowledge the team of to say, hey, yeah, we'll be back again next week. I got no problem with that, you know,
Sure.
of that. So we'll have to see. And that's one of those watched throughout the year with Huffman being listed as a rookie, and I believe is full time, as well as McKee. Like I said, he isn't one I would have necessarily put up in the top 3 to compete with McKee and Reeves. I hope he is all year and mixes it up, because that just adds to the excitement of the series.
It does indeed. And like I say, I understand why he was frustrated and everything. He's young, and I think he's just has a little more time to go here.
All sports all day. You can't tune out on us, though. You can't watch it now. You got to wait till we're done.
Short track tempers. Excuse me, I got the hiccups.
Wow. Yeah. Excited about the tempers.
3-driver fight between Reeves, McKee, and Landon Huffman shuffles Reeves into second place. Huffman went to 6th place at the end, and McKee wins. So while those two were duking it out, the door opened for Tristan McKee.
And like I said, that's when you're that tight and competitive, and you get that little bump and a bang, and the guy in 3rd or 4th, and in this case it was Landon Huffman. We'll talk about Kitzmiller in a minute, but to be there to capitalize, and yeah, Huffman's kind of opened that door, like I said, of a gap, and he stuck his nose in there. So could have been considered a little aggressive. Yeah, I wouldn't argue that, but that's also what you pay drivers to do. Again, it is a short track. I mean,
too.
You know, so like I said, I look forward to the year. When it comes to that, we'll see how much animosity carries week to week.
And Jay, All Sports All Day says, I would never.
I don't know if I can say that. I might tune over and be like, what'd y'all say? I was watching this. No, catch me up.
Okay. One thing that does impress me, Isaac Kitzmiller last year won the championship, even though he never won a race. It was all the guys coming in from the outside that came in and won the races last year. And this race was another example of him quietly just doing his business and getting it done. He came in 3rd place. He stayed clean while others battled, and he was able to capitalize late in that race. Kept his cool.
So is this one of your favorite drivers, Sharon?
I don't know yet. I don't really know him too much yet, but I think the fact that he's just quietly taking care of business, I like that.
That's kind of what I was hinting at, because you and I have I kind of like the aggressive drivers, and to me, Kitzmiller is one that maybe could have some wins if he were a little more aggressive. Go back to the likes of Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, Martin Truex Jr., that they'll just quietly run 3rd and take 3rd. You know, and he got a championship last year by doing it. I don't know that you could do that this year with the 2 we have up front that are already beating and banging.
You're right. He is going to have to be a little more aggressive, but I'm just pointing out that he's continuing to do what he's always done, and that is just quietly take care of business.
And there's nothing wrong with that, honestly, right. in this day and age, with what we talk about with some of these guys that get to the cup level and that's all they know. I kind of do look at him of kind of a refreshing breath that we're not seeing that out of him, but him still being in contention and winning championships that way.
Yep, that's true. Okay, now there are some strong debuts and breakout performances. We mentioned Derek Nealon with his 4th place finish in his East debut after early issues. Destiny Spurlock finished in the top 10. I forget exactly where she was now, but I know it was top 10. Craig Pellegrini Jr., 9th in his debut. So there were quite a few debut drivers that were up in that top 10, which is always kind of cool to see.
She was seventh. I thought it was sixth, but Huffman's the one that finished sixth. So she ended up seventh. Again, I thought well represented herself, not be pushed around, but also not be the story of causing problems.
True. And that's always a good thing. Okay. So just to point those out. Also, Hickory delivers the first ever race for ARCA. ARCA has never raced at Hickory Motor Speedway before, which is really wild. It gave us tire wear. It gave us multiple late restarts and heavy contact racing, which is what we would expect from a track that's it's like 0.33 mile track. It's a third of a mile.
And this is one where, especially if you're like me, coming from the dirt track background, short track background, I thought it was a great short track racing. Yes, there was some aggression, but I'm okay with that. Again, I don't feel like there was anything way out of line that we've seen of somebody just mowing people down. Some of the drivers probably do need to learn to check up just a little bit. But especially for a debut race like that, I thought it all went very good. I mean, you can't ask for more.
I don't think so either.
Three car battle to the finish. They swapped leads, three times, I think, in those final laps. Yeah, that's what fans want to see.
That was an exciting finish.
And just to throw a random, completely Hickory note out there, and now I don't remember the year. Somebody on X posted that's where Dick Trickle got his O'Reilly Auto Parts win way back when. I was a big Trickle fan, so.
Okay, very cool. Okay, the depth of the field really shows early as well. We've been talking about that. Nick Tucker with that fifth place finish after he spun, he was able to recover. Jackson McLaren finishes eighth with a meaningful tribute run. And Hickory gave us a statement win from McKee, a heartbreaker from Reeves, tempers and contact shaping up the finish, and a deep young field with multiple contenders emerging. And I agree with that. I'm really excited about the East Series, and I haven't been excited about the East Series for quite a while. So this year I'm excited for this series, even though it's just 8 races.
Well, and I am a little bit more so because, like I said, I had it initially as what we've seen in the past, which is what Sharon's saying of not been excited, figuring it was going to be a Reeves runaway. That clearly isn't going to be the case, as McKee showed he's going to hang with them, as did Huffman and Kitzmiller. So I am more excited about it than I had been. What I look at of just those headlines, I do think it was a statement win by McKee. Again, did he outright whoop him? No, but he was there and mixed it up and came out with it. The heartbreak for Reeves is how he handles himself then going forward. I didn't particularly like what I saw out of that post-race interview, the attitude. We'll see how it comes out on the track down the road. But then, like you said, that young field with multiple contenders, drivers that can at least hang with them and mix it up.
And I would say Reeves was the madness, but Tristan McKee was the magic.
And we've seen McKee can have his aggressive side on the track. I think he handles himself better behind the camera than what Reeves did.
Yes, I would say so as well. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about here?
No, I'm with you. Actually, like I said, more excited about what we see out of the East Series this year than I was even in this first preview. Hickory delivered. That's one of, I wouldn't have a problem with seeing the Trucks or O'Reilly series go back there, put it on that wish list, if you will.
We can only hope.
Right.
We'll see what happens. Okay, let's move on now to the NASCAR Cup Series. Get our Victory Lane picture up here. In Victory Lane this week, it is Chase Elliott breaks through. First win of the season for Chase Elliott, first win of the season for Hendrick. We've been wondering where Hendrick Motorsports is. We found them in Victory Lane this weekend. The strategy call from the pit box was the real winner, Alan Gustafson. I was listening to Sirius XM. A lot of people kind of gripe on him sometimes because of calls that he makes, and Chase Elliott doesn't win. This time, they have to thank Alan Gustafson for that call because it was the call that won that race, I think, for Chase Elliott.
Oh, without a doubt. Let me get my other pages back up now. This is one, as we get to it and break it down, victory, a win is a win. And they did not luck into it. They made a strategy call. Denny Hamlin, unfortunately, the Toyota, again, just talking about Max Reeves, dominated the race, had control of the race, and almost still won it. Yeah. So was it a dominant win? You know, can we say, oh, Chevrolet is back, Hendrick Motorsports is back? They're still on that top 5 verge because this one wasn't a drive up there and take it from them. But especially at tracks like Martinsville, if you're not in that position or have that car, what do you do? Larry McReynolds likes to say it. If all you do is follow them, you're going to end up behind them. They chose to pit from, I believe it was 9th at the time, the first one to pit, and they made it pay off. And he certainly handled his car when it came to it because, again, Denny Hamlin was behind him in the closing laps. I don't know if it ever got to his bumper, but got within a car length, and Chase didn't blink.
And it wasn't just the pit call strategy. The pit call strategy was a huge part of it. Don't get me wrong. But Chase Elliott put himself in that place to make it work. And you know, his driving is what made it work as well. Chasing the chase, and it was Chase Elliott in victory lane this weekend. So I was excited for Chase Elliott. It's been a while coming. I think he was one of those drivers that we were saying was on a streak of not having won in a while. So this was good to see. And it was good to see for Hendrick Motorsports. A lot of people have been wondering where William Byron is. Where is Hendrick Motorsports? How come they haven't won a race yet? This is the 7th race of the season before they got that first win. And usually they get a win within those first 5 races. So this was big.
It was. There's no doubt about it. And like I said, of pit strategy calls, we've seen that before. It's nothing new. I'm not fully on board with Chevrolet, Hendrick Motorsports being back like they were. Still got some work to do, I think. They were all 3 of the 4. I'll take that back. 3 of the 4 were in the top 10 and mixing it up, but Denny Hamlin was dominating out front. So are they where they need to be yet? No.
No, but they've got that win under their belt. So, you know, it's a big statement from them. We know that Hendrick Motorsports is really good at Martinsville, but it hasn't been them lately. So for them to come out and do that, well, I guess William Byron has won here lately. So for them to get that win was a big statement, I think, for them. Let's look at the top 10 finishers from Martinsville. And we're going to share that tab instead. Okay, Chase Elliott, chasing the chase, 55 points this race. The win margin was 0.565 seconds, and he led only 84 of those laps. Chase Elliott is the number 1 guy here. Denny Hamlin came in second. Yes, he dominated, and we'll talk about his domination, but in the end, it just didn't work out for him. Joey Logano had a nice rebound after last week at Darlington. Everybody wondered what happened to Joey Logano. Well, he's bounced back. With that 3rd place finish. Ty Gibbs still up in the top 5, and we'll talk about him in a little bit as well. Consistently running and proving himself to be the real deal. William Byron with that 5th place finish. Ryan Blaney, 6th place. Christopher Bell in 7th. Austin Cindric, 8th. Kyle Larson, I didn't think he had the race I was expecting. I expected Kyle Larson would be up there contending more. And what about Josh Berry with that 10th place finish? I thought that was fantastic, as well as Shane Van Gisbergen, still showing us that he can race on the ovals. Ryan Preece with that 12th place finish, and Brad Keselowski. Chase Briscoe chased it all day long. That 14th place finish doesn't tell you just how hard he raced to get to that position. And Tyler Reddick in 15th. A lot of people had hoped that maybe Tyler Reddick would get this win, but he said, if I get the win, what was it he said, Jay?
The world might come to an end.
The world might come to an end. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. So any other thoughts about our contenders here?
Yeah, again, Denny Hamlin, it was his race, and I thought he handled himself very well post-race. But I will come back to a slight issue there, and Sharon will, I'm sure, chime in. The organization, Penske, they had Joey Logano, who started 9th, finished 3rd. Ryan Blaney started 12th, finished 6th. Austin Cindric, 6th, and then finished 8th. And Alliance team, where did Barry, started 3rd and finished 10th. I think Penske put a lot on their short track program. You mentioned specifically Joey Logano getting that rebound from Darlington. Whatever happened at Darlington was an anomaly. You know, Joey joked about it. He's like, I don't know what happened there. But to see him come back like that, and that's where I think they're a little bit ahead of Hendrick Motorsports. You mentioned Chase Elliott, started 10th, got the win, and that's about where he had run most of the day, was 5th and 9th. William Byron started 2nd, finished 5th. Kyle Larson, not quite what we would expect from an HMS, though Kyle Larson, Martinsville has never been his top track. He's had to learn it. So that wasn't all that surprising to me. Started 13th, finished 9th. But then I got to scroll down. Let me find Algar in the number 48.
And finished 7th. So he did move up. Kyle Larson started 13th and finished 9th.
But like you said, it wasn't a power move that we would have expected from an HMS team. And that's why I said I don't think they've fully closed the deal on this new car, but they're making progression. Justin Allgaier in the 48 started 21st, finished 22nd. I think he's doing what that team needs, is just get some consistent runs. Yes, it is an HMS car. It is Martinsville, but they're under other circumstances. I thought they did a good job of just maintaining, where they were at. So big shout out to Justin Allgaier there.
Yes. RCR, we're going to talk about them in a little bit too. Kyle Busch started 34th, finished 24th. Austin Dillon started 30th, finished 25th. So just something to kind of keep in your back pocket for that discussion. Bubba Wallace ended up in 36th place after starting in 15th. So yeah, some interesting stats here. Our biggest mover was probably the guy who won the race. He started in 10th and finished 1st. I don't know that anybody else made that big of a move. Oh, maybe Brad Keselowski started 23rd and finished 13th. So I would say RFK is showing signs, even though I was hoping that we'd see better things from them this race. Chase Briscoe started 27th, finished 14th.
Yeah, you mentioned Briscoe. He definitely, I think, had the biggest jump as far as starting to finishing position. You hit on RFK, and one of them, can't draw. I'm drawing a blank, and I'm looking for his name. Busher, yeah. Where did he finish? Oh, he actually ended up 19th. Okay. Got shuffled way back. That was the first. All three RFK races drivers had finished in the top 10 in all races. And I know they were talking about that. There was going to need a little bit of work to get two of them in there, Ryan Preece and Brad Keselowski, who were 12th and 13th. But you look at where they started, 23rd and 17th, respectively. They just didn't quite make the top 10. But as an organization, again, certainly on the uprise, they are in the conversation each and every week through the top 10. Maybe not for wins yet, although Brad Keselowski was at Darlington. But to see that organization And again, Busher had some issues, got shuffled up. We'll just say
Yeah.
got Martinsville.
Yeah. There was a big one at Martinsville. Okay, so that was our top 10. Let's get into Denny Hamlin's domination, because he did dominate. He led 292 laps. He swept both stages and had the fastest car. 19.75 was his run around the Martinsville track. He was, at the end, he was unable to compete with Elliott. And it goes to what you've been talking about a lot, Jay, which is fast and out front hurts again, because you can't make the adjustments that you need to be able to run in the dirty air. And Denny Hamlin did say that he felt like it was the dirty air that kept him from competing at the end.
And that's what they talked about, especially with Chase Elliott as well as Joey Logano, the adjustments they were making to get better. You know, when you're out front, what do? You're already the best, so you're afraid to make changes,
And
you know, but you've got to, you know. And I hate it for the crew chiefs, but yeah, you got to anticipate of what you're going to need if and when you're not out front, whether it be pit cycles or somebody doing the cycling they did. A driver like Ross Chastain starting up front when everybody else pitted. You know, you're going to at some point be back in traffic one way or another.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's when he got back in traffic. All Sports All Day says, I kind of wanted Hamlin to win. Crazy how the car fell off a bit those last 100. Yeah, it really did fall off. He thought something was wrong with the car. At one point, I know he radioed in.
They did in a post race, and I might have to hold on. Go ahead and pick it up, Sharon. I gotta sneeze.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that he's in his post race. He said something about he thought there was something wrong with his car, but he also acknowledged that it really was the dirty air that he didn't know how to deal with. To your point, Jay, that was a big grin you had on your face.
Well, because this is where I guess we can get into it now. Said something that he thought a wheel was coming loose or broke, something in the wheel hub. How would he have gotten that? Well, let's talk about how he drove to get back into second. He pinched somebody off and put him in the wall, as well as I think damaged his own car. So
yes,
I feel for you, All Sports All Day.
We'll talk about that bump in a little bit.
That's where I think what really did hurt him in that final run was what he had done to himself.
Yes. But I think you make a really good point that when you're running out front for most of the race, it makes it hard for you to actually win the race if you get shuffled back, because now you don't know how to run in that dirty air. Short track performance. Teams will rethink their strategy over speed. It was strategy that won this race, not the speed on the track that won the race. Denny had the fastest lap, but it didn't help him win the race. He led the most laps, but it didn't help him win the race. It was the strategy call. And so I think that's going to cause a lot of people to rethink how they run on these short tracks and look for those strategy calls.
Well, here's the thing I see with that, and I don't know, you know, listening to a couple of the drivers talk about it, they felt like the package was good. I don't know that you need to necessarily take strategy over speed, because again, where was Hamlin with speed out front of that? Yes, he kind of got snookered by the strategy, but he still had the speed to come back to it. Again, barring what happened, that one restart, him and who was third that they said were the fast times? Joey Logano, Ty Gibbs. There were a couple others that were putting up the fast times with Chase Elliott out front, obviously, in clean air. When they got to traffic, Hamlin was catching him. Again, you thought he might still be able to get to him. Getting by him was going to be another story. I'm not sure we wanted to see that play out again. I saw that when I was there in 2017, which happened to be Chase Elliott's last win. No, sorry, Brad Keselowski won that. Chase Elliott didn't win because his back end was jacked up with Denny Hamlin.
It was also, Jay, 11 years to the day of his first race.
That's where I got those two stats mixed up. It was his first win, not his last win, that I was thinking. But yeah,
it was first time driving.
First race, yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think speed is still very important. Again, the strategy is if you don't have top speed, I think you still need to go with top speed. However, if you don't have it for whatever reason, that's when you want to try and do some strategy things. I think I would not give up on the speed is what I'm saying.
Well, and what happens, somebody does something like this and everybody goes, oh, that was a really good idea. I think I might try that next time. So now instead of one person doing that, you get 5 people doing that. And then strategy doesn't win the day necessarily. So I think you can't forget about speed. It has to be maybe a combination of both.
And I look at Ross Chastain, talk about that restart. He was 19th, opted to stay out, at least get a net gain by the end of the race. Well, he did 3 positions because he ended up 16th because he didn't have any speed. You still got to have the speed.
You still have to. That's why I say it has to be a combination there.
Ask Kyle Busch that.
Okay. You were at that race in 17. That's crazy. One of the most mad I've ever been at a television in my life. You were mad at the television?
There were people in the stands that were mad. Trust me.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I honestly, All Sports All Day, I've been at 2 that I would say I've had the biggest, 2 of the 3 that I would say the biggest fan reaction. I was at Bristol between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch, and to hear that entire stadium booing Kyle Busch and cheering Kyle Edwards. Same thing at Martinsville there with that deal. Yeah, anytime they showed or they interviewed Chase Elliott, I mean, just fans just, yeah. And then when they showed Denny Hamlin, it was the exact opposite. I think that the one that ranks the 3rd that I said I wasn't at that one, I was deployed, was Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth.
I saw that one on TV.
Yeah, that one I had to watch on TV.
Now, talking about the short track package, you did mention that a lot of the drivers were happy with the package there.
It seemed to it, and this is one where, as a fan, I know fans can read and say, oh, they got this amount of horsepower, give them more, give them more. As a fan, are we really going to see it and know it? I don't think so. Does it help the drivers and how they can drive and pass? If so, by all means, let them have it. Work with the drivers. There's some that I talk with and they're like, oh, I'd be able to tell. I don't think you do. I really don't. Not from watching it. Maybe at the track of the sound of it, but honestly, I don't think that's something you're going to outright see or feel as a fan. Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But for the drivers, I think it does make a difference, and they did appear to be happy with it.
Right. All right. Let's move on to Ty Gibbs' consistency. Again, I was talking about him being the real deal. He finished 4th. It's his 5th straight top 6 finish. Quiet consistency in 2026. He's a weekly contender, not just a prospect.
Yeah. And we saw this, what we thought was going to be his breakout, and then it dipped off. To see that back again, is he battling for the win yet? Top 5, though, without a doubt. Again, this was 6 or 7 races in the top 6 it has to go to. They listed as top 10, but it actually is top 6 when you break it down and look at it. But I'm thrilled. This is one of those of, maybe had that ego or chip on his shoulder, having been so dominant in everything he came through. I think he got humbled getting to the Cup Series, but he was on the verge, and then whatever happened. and having to get it back. And we have seen it back so far this year.
Yes, we have. And he is quietly making, taking care of business again. And I don't see him, early on, he was a little overly aggressive. I don't see that aggression in him necessarily. But I see skill. And that's what I like to see on the track. I like to see that skill on the track. And that's what he's quietly showing. Kenseth and Logano now, I don't think I've ever been as happy with my TV. He was happy with that move. So fun to root for Ty Gibbs now that he isn't an over-aggressive teenager. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. He was one that I agree needed some maturity with that. And going back to the Kenseth Logano, I'm a fan of both, but honestly, I rooted for that. I felt Joey deserved it as much as I like him. I felt he deserved it. I thought Kenseth was talented because he stuck Joey in the wall and nobody else got damaged. I understood NASCAR suspended him, but yeah, I was cheering for Kenseth on that, even though I'm a fan of Joey. Yeah, no, Joey deserved it. That was one of those you've gotten me 2-3 times unnecessarily and for your own ego. Yeah, I think that was one of those learning things for Joey Logano. He's like, okay, I've found the line.
In case anybody was wondering. Okay, they're talking about the Hendrick versus Gibbs battle intensifies. Hendrick gets a win with Elliott, while JGR dominates laps with Hamlin. Byron with a solid top 5. Team rivalry is building. But I would have to throw Team Penske in there too. You pointed out Team Penske having, all 3 of their drivers in that top group. I'm just wondering, the question I'm going to throw out there is, are super teams back? Is the next gen car still achieving the goal of equity?
Ooh, yes, but no. Again, your super teams are super teams for a reason. They're going to figure it out. When I look at organization wise, though, I don't feel any of them are the super team because it's kind of, in the case of JGR, you got Denny Hamlin. Where are the others? Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe are lagging a little bit. I would put Bell second with Chase Briscoe third. Same with Hendrick Motorsports. It's been for several years pretty much Kyle Larson / William Byron. Chase Elliott kind of in third, William Byron fourth, or not William Byron, Alex Bowman, sorry. You don't see it as a solid. I think Penske, you mentioned, has the most consistent across the board, but RFK is also right there with that when it comes to that. Overall, though, I got to stay with Toyota, but it's not JGR. It's 2311. But they too have that. Bubba Wallace has fallen off, and I'll come to that when we get to that.
Mm-hmm. But those are all the bigger teams in the sport that we're talking about. So we're not seeing the teams like Front Row Motorsports, let's say, or even Spire for that matter, although Daniel Suarez has done better, I think, with Spire than he was at Trackhouse. We're not seeing those other teams, the smaller teams are not being able to compete with them, and that was NASCAR's goal with this next-gen car.
Real question, did the super teams ever leave? No. And you're right with the alliances. And yeah, but there again, why have we seen 2311 be as dominant as they have and JGR struggle a little bit in trying to get the ship righted aside from Denny Hamlin?
Well, you've got one driver there that's excelling.
Right. And that's what and look back through the years, even Hendrick Motorsports, when you had Jeff Gordon, then you had Terry Labonte, Ricky Craven, the solid runs by them, but they weren't exactly doing what. And that brings in that question going back to already way back then, do they put all their resources behind one driver, within an organization, or show favoritism within an organization?
All Sports All Day says because they're paying $24 million for their stuff, and Reddick is a confirmed beast.
Can't argue that. He
Yeah.
certainly flipped into beast mode this year. I guess he was
Yes.
not happy with last year.
Yeah, yeah, it's really amazing. I thought he might. Still had a top 15 finish, but I thought he might come through this week too.
But going back to what you're saying of the I can't think of the word.
The goal.
Yeah, well, the parity. Um, you mentioned Spire Motorsports. They are climbing up to it again. Was it ever going to be a flip? Oh, this team's now equal with HMS or JGR? No, but they're climbing up to it. It takes time,
Yeah.
and I think we've seen a huge jump by Spire Motorsports. Like All Sports All Day said, that is an alliance team to Hendrick Motorsports. So yeah, there's some of that, but that is what it takes in this sport today.
It does indeed. I have to agree with you in every thing because you're right. All Sports All Day, they never really left. They've still been competing more. They still have the funding to be, to get the simulators and time on the simulators and everything else. So it's interesting that we're still not seeing necessarily parity, as you said. Okay, let's look at the points picture. You want to cover the points here, Jay?
All right. Well, that is still Tyler Reddick again of what he's built up. 82-point lead, even after having let's see, where did he finish? I know he wasn't on top of his, it's 15th. So
15th.
Again, probably not a bad day for him considering short track Martinsville is not his prowess, but still has that 82-point lead over Ryan Blaney. And this is where you get your winners. Winning still matters. Ryan Blaney in second with the win, Denny Hamlin in third with 1 win, 2 stage wins, and now Chase Elliott into fourth with 1 win, but no stages. Then you got your consistent drivers, William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell, getting better and better week in and week out, I think. Brad Keselowski. Kyle Larson has had a couple of up and down off weeks. You see him in 9th. Then Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace in 11th. We'll get to him. Joey Logano rebounding because he was on the cut line after his Darlington performance.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Preece, you got to highlight him. Shane Van Gisbergen, I believe, was in 11th is where he finished this.
Well, he's up one spot. Yeah, he finished 11th.
Finished in 11th, 14th in points without any road course wins. Just want to point that out. Carson Hocevar and Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell. Right there is your Spire Motorsports, all 3 of them actually, right above, and below the cut line. That's kind of interesting. Carson Hocevar at 171. Suarez is the cut line at 167, and then McDowell at 158. Here's where you got the problem. Austin Cindric having to climb out of the hole and rebound. Ross Chastain not getting good fast cars. AJ Allmendinger, Chase Briscoe on the rise. So there's some big names coming that had a rough start and are starting to get their feet and wheels back under them. Yeah, you got to be on your game.
You got to be on your game. I'm looking for biggest movers here again. In the top, so many of the top 10 moved up a spot. So Ty Gibbs actually moved up 5 spots. Let's see, everybody else, all these other green ones here, they moved up 1 spot in through here, except for Ty Gibbs, who moved up 5. Then you got Chris Buescher, who dropped 3. Bubba Wallace dropped 8, and like you said, we'll talk about that. Joey Logano up 4. That was a big move there. Carson Hocevar, whoops, what happened there?
You highlighted him. There you go.
Carson Hocevar and Daniel Suarez both dropped 2. Shane Van Gisbergen continuing to move up that list, which is huge. Austin Cindric came from the bottom. I mean, he came from the bottom. And this week he moved up 3 more. AJ Allmendinger, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, all losing spots, while Ross Chastain Chase Briscoe and Eric Jones and Josh Berry all moved up. Josh Berry, the biggest mover there, he moved up 7 spots. That's huge. John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Dillon moving down, while Todd Gilliland moving up 2. Riley Earps down 3, Ty Dillon down 4. So those are your guys that are moving up and down the list here. But I'm really impressed with these top 10. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 10 all moving up.
Well, and that's because one driver moved all the way down. That 8 lost.
That 8 spots for Bubba.
To see somebody drop that many in 1 week happens when you have the off week. We saw that with Joey Logano from Darlington, and now having to pick them up. You drop 8 at a time, you gain 1 or 2 at a time. That's how tough it is. You see Austin Cindric, you mentioned, he came from in the 20s over the last 2 weeks, only moving up 3. Josh Berry with the good run moved up 7, but guess what? He could have the same kind of run and he would only move up 3 or 4 this next week, because as you get closer to the top, the competition gets tougher, and tighter.
It does. Okay. So Elliott is still chasing Tyler Reddick. Both Hamlin and Elliott gained points in the top 10. Martinsville delivers chaos. We had late race contact and multi-car incident, timbers, bumpers, and short track aggression. Wallace versus Hocevar. Wallace free falling in the points. We just pointed it out. Let's talk about Wallace and Hocevar here first.
For me, and this is what I feared, Bubba Wallace, as well as Tyler Reddick, 23-11, started out so strong. As Wallace seemed to lose ground, I feel like he lost his mind, as Hocevar put it. And he said he did not do anything intentionally. He wasn't happy with the 3 wide position Hocevar put everybody in, but he said that was not retaliation. He just misjudged the corner. What I feel or see is one of those of, as you start to know you're losing ground, your driving changes, you misjudge a corner, whatever, and you create a bigger hole. And that's what I see out of Bubba Wallace right now. I hope that he gets that under control and at least maintains and not drops another 8, putting him back into that right at the 16th place cut line.
Well, and this is an example of it hurt him more than it hurt Hocevar. Hocevar only dropped back 2 spots, but Wallace dropped 8. That's huge.
5 times in the same corner. We'll get to Kyle Busch here in a minute.
Let's see, because they're paying. Okay. I love how everyone was talking about SVG on short tracks is good because of his RC background. Then he flat out said there's no correlation in it. I saw that interview. That was kind of funny. I did laugh when they
he may not feel that, but I think when you look at other drivers such as AJ Allmendinger, he did seem to do better on short tracks before he did on the intermediates or super speedways. Now, Van Gisbergen, coming from the different background, may not feel that as much. He's just been improving and impressive on all tracks so far this year, honestly.
Yes.
But I think the short tracks do lend a little bit more towards your road course background than your intermediates or super speedways.
Okay. And I don't think you're alone, because that guy brought it up on TV too. Kyle Busch losing spots, heard that a lot lately. I've heard a lot of people talking about that too, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit here, All Sports, so hang in with us. Genuinely, what was Wallace thinking? Can we be honest? No Cup driver, barring mechanical things, overdrives a corner 5 times in the same corner.
It did not look like that was a misjudgment. It certainly appeared to be.
Well, I thought that was a tongue-in-cheek misjudgment.
Yeah. Now, whether or not it was retaliation towards Hocevar, I wouldn't necessarily say that. But again, I think he was like, hey, I'm losing spots. I'm losing in the points. I'm losing everything I built. and he lost his mind.
Yes, yes. Well, Hocevar was losing too. He was trying to make up ground. And that's where I think the drivers sometimes forget about respecting one another and where everybody is in all of this. Just because you're losing ground and you've got to do some things to catch up doesn't mean that other drivers aren't also losing ground and trying to do everything they can. So you just have to respect one another. And I know it's hard to do on a track like Martinsville. I get it. But yeah.
That's pretty funny by all sports, though, of overdrove the same corner 5 times in the same corner. It's like, yeah, that doesn't quite add up.
Well, I think he overdrives himself a lot, Carson Hocevar. And we know that about him.
And Bubba Wallace has gone through that. I thought we were past that, and that's what was displaying so far this year. But we talk about the chase format. You got to stay consistent. And I feel like he kind of gave it away. Obviously, he gave away 8 spots this weekend.
He gave away 8 spots with all that. Okay, let's talk about Hamlin versus Blaney and the wall wins. Jay. Oh, wait a second. I think we got a comment from All Sports. It wasn't a drive it in deep, hope it sticks. It was a drive it into his bumper and hope he's
I agree. That, like I said, that was definitely on him. I didn't buy the just misjudged.
I think a lot of these drivers have learned from admitting that they did that. And so they say, well, I didn't really mean to do that. And that's getting a little old too, because he wasn't the only driver that did that this weekend.
But that's where I wanted to point out, though, I don't think it was necessarily in retaliation against Hocevar. It was just the car in front of him, and he's like, I'm going to get by this car in this corner however I have to. It happened to be Hocevar who had previously set him in a bad position. Yes. I go back to Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain never targeted anybody. It was just the target of the car in front of him, whoever it happened to be.
Yeah, Hamlin fully admitted he drove hard off the corner. His fault, but good for admitting it. Yeah, that is true.
And this goes back to when you said you were cheering for Hamlin to win the race. I really wasn't at that point, because to me, he overdrove and he was fighting so hard to get back what he felt was his, and it was. I'm not disputing that, but you still got to be respectful. Yeah, you still got to be respectful of other drivers. And yes, he did admit it, so I'll let that go. Yeah.
But driving it hard versus, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but he didn't even say that. You're right. You got me.
And I got to say, Blaney actually handled it well in his interview. He said, yeah, he ran me into the wall, but I still managed 6 out of it, which was fortunate because he hit the wall hard.
He hit the wall hard, and it did cost him some spots. Fortunately, he didn't move in the points, which I was happy about that. But, yeah.
Well, but that initial bounce back is what put him in 6, and he was able to maintain there. I was afraid he was going to have wheel problems and go all the way back, if not have to pit.
Blaney and Cindric land in the top 10. Wait a second, I'm ahead of myself here. Never mind.
Well, that was the overall solid day for Penske. We kind of already hit on that.
Logano in third, Blaney and Cindric land in the top 10. Yeah,
and I think it was Joey Logano that credited their alliance team of the Wood brothers of Josh Berry. Started third and ended up just outside the top 10. So it was either him. I take that back. It might have been Blaney. I don't know, either Blaney or Logano. But Penske definitely had their program and were on it for the short track. For Joey Logano, clearly just rebound. Excuse me, I got Sharon's hiccups. The rebound from Darlington, to be able to put Darlington behind you and move forward, that is what we call the championship contending teams of overcome it. It was last week. We're done with it. Hey, don't make the same mistake twice.
Right. Learn from our mistakes. All right. Anything else from the Cup Series? I know we've got other hot topics here that we want to get into. What time are we at? Okay.
This is one. Where are we putting the Kyle Busch deal? Because I know All Sports All Day was already on top of
Oh,
that.
the Kyle Busch deal is in the other topics.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
You're talking about RCR?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about RCR's low performance.
Okay.
I put it under hot topics, other hot
Okay.
topics.
I only got
So
3 under other hot topics, but
yeah.
okay. Well,
But
which one we want to start with?
we can go to that one. A lot of people, like All Sports All Day was saying, a lot of people are talking. I heard it on the radio a lot today about RCR's low performance and what's going on there. We talked a little bit about this last week as well. Kyle Busch, what did we say? Kyle Busch ended up finishing the results in the Cup Series. Kyle Busch,
Not good.
they finished
20,
right next to
20
each other, I
somewhat.
think.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch in 24th, Austin Dillon in 25th. That's not good. And how long is Kyle Busch going to keep doing that? Something's going on. And somebody was talking about the situation with RFK, how Brad Keselowski has come into that organization and kind of turned it around. But they were saying he had to change. He changed everything when he came into the organization, down to the paint on the walls. I think Danielle Trotta was talking about that. He had to change the culture within that organization when he came in, and he did that. And they're getting results. I think the same thing might be happening at RCR.
Well, and again, we're getting little bits from different places when it comes to that, because last week Kyle Busch is one that talked about it, of having the new crew chief and him trying, just not getting anywhere. Austin Dillon had made some comments about things he brought to Grandpa and kind of got shut down. I don't know, Sharon, if you saw Kyle Busch's interview after practice. The restraint he had was impressive. You could tell he was mad. You could tell he wanted to. He was just like, "We got a bad car," point blank. We got a bad car, but he didn't fully unload.
That interview.
Oh, you go back and find it. You'd be impressed with Kyle Busch's restraint.
Yeah, I think Hocevar made him hit his breaking point and he saw red. I think you're right. All Sports All Day says, I saw that interview. You could tell he's had enough. I don't think he's going to be, when his contract expires, I think Kyle Busch is going to be leaving RCR.
They better get him to a winning in the next half season.
I think he showed incredible restraint his entire career at RCR because, and they talked about Harvick too. Harvick, this was Danielle Trotta again, I think, was talking about, they went to a fan day at RCR, and you could see that he had a lot of respect and everything for RCR, but he held his tongue about saying anything. People are holding back saying anything, but they too see it. He said Austin Dillon had a silver spoon.
Right. And that made me think of that, you look back at a championship caliber driver such as Harvick, and for him to walk away and, say, hey, this isn't working. I think it's different now because I think Austin Dillon has changed his mentality and trying to be a part of the solution now, and it's still not going anywhere. Yeah, you got some issues there.
Yes, I think Austin Dillon has tried to have a couple of conversations with Papa, and it hasn't gone well. So, and I don't know if it's him. It might be Papa. We're getting indications that it might be, but it could be just a systemic thing within the organization that is just not working. And that's what Brad Keselowski had to go and do. He had to start from scratch and do everything different in order to make the changes work.
And that's where, tying in what Kyle Busch said last week, as far as there being not one big thing, which is what RCR wants to try and do, is fix one thing, one big thing. It's 10 little things. And I brought this up with the Brad Keselowski deal. I think Jack Roush was aware of that and let him change those 10 different little things and take that step back. And I feel from the outside looking in, the way it sounds is RCR, Richard Childress, is not letting go of the reins, and he maybe needs to.
And we don't know because we're not there. We don't see the day-to-day undertakings, but we're just going off of the comments that we're hearing and other people's impressions. All Sports All Day says, I can't believe I'm defending RCR, but I think Dylan is so underrated. He's made like 6 out of 8 playoffs from 17 to 23. He has made the playoffs. He hasn't gone very far in the playoffs, but he has made them. But again, it goes back to the organization, and is the organization giving these guys? They said Harvick, one of the reasons Harvick left RCR is so he could win a championship. He knew he was never going to win a championship.
And he did.
Huh?
And he did.
And he went to Stewart-Haas Racing and won a championship. So that, I mean, if you look at all the little indicators here, there's something wrong there. So,
And if I recall correctly, part of that was the input into his own teams, such as his crew chief, Rodney Childers. He wanted to be paired with Rodney Childers, and I think there too that was being sent down from above. Here's your crew chief, deal with it.
yeah. So we'll see. I hope they figure it out. I hope something happens that gets that organization revived, because it's kind of sad to see that happening at RCR, an organization that was at the top of their game for so long. It's a sad thing to see, just like it was sad when we saw the same thing happening at RFK. There's a sadness that comes over you when you see that happening. And so we'd like to see it get turned around. We just don't know what the solution is. But it seems like something's got to give somewhere.
You know, it just made me think of, with being that that's where Dale Earnhardt came from, of that dynamic of it was all about one driver and Richard Childress, you know, the two of them basically putting
Right.
everything together. If our RC is still holding on to that mentality.
And it's very possible. It's very possible. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying about going fast and being up front doesn't help you learn what you need to know about driving
Right.
from the back, driving in the back and driving in the dirty air. It kind of has that same kind of feel. You were up front for all those years, but technology was passing you by and you weren't keeping up with the technologies or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very true.
So, but I hope they get it figured out. I really do. But I agreed with, I heard it a lot today about RCR. So that's what made me put it up here. Now, NASCAR Hall of Fame nominees, they announced on TV, Mike Helton came to the pre-race and announced that Kevin Harvick was one of the nominees into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, but there are others as well. But that was a cool moment. I think he was totally taken back.
It certainly was. And you know, Kevin Harvick is one of those I feel is well deserved of what he's done across the sport. What really tied it in for me, though, was a debate, I guess it was between Kenny Wallace and Dale Earnhardt Jr., of what does qualify you to be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Kenny Wallace taking the aspect of, if it ain't about the Cup Series, you shouldn't be considered. And I don't know that I agree with that either.
I don't.
Yeah, it's the NASCAR Hall of Fame, your weekly racers, you know, and I don't know who he called
And
out
even
as
your modified racers in your
right.
weekly racing series. The ARCA Menards Series is NASCAR now.
Yeah, I don't agree with Kenny on that it has to all be about the Cup. You know, and there again, Dave Moody talks about it when he's on the panel, of all the ones that get nominated are qualified. It is a matter of who is more qualified, you know, that the discussions, as they say, that they have of who is the most qualified because they're all qualified.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Harvick, the 2014 NASCAR Cup Series champion, 2007 Daytona 500 winner, joins the modern era ballot in his first year of eligibility. Alongside Harvick are newcomers to the modern era nomination list are six-time ARCA Menards Series West champion Ray Elder, 1988 NASCAR Cup Series championship winning crew chief Ernie Elliott, who happens to be related, by the way, to Chase Elliott, Ray Fox, the 1956 NASCAR Mechanic of the Year and 14 NASCAR Cup Series winning car owner, and Herb Nabb, a two-time NASCAR Cup Series championship winning crew chief, are among the Pioneer era ballot. So I've got a feeling, though, that Kevin Harvick is going to be a first-year winner.
It certainly is. In All Sports All Day, I kind of agree with him here. He said, I think it should be Harvick and Biffle. Sorry, Sharon, but statistically, with the championship in O'Reilly and trucks, he is slightly better than Burton on paper. His passing helps his chances. You know, and here's something I would hate to see Biffle get put in and people credit it to the fact that he did pass, because I do think he is deserving. I wanted to see him actually be the one to win in all three of both of the NASCAR's top three. And he would have done it in the order of up the ladder. You know, we could see somebody like Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick go back and win a truck series after they've won, you know, a Cup or an O'Reilly. You know, he did it in progression and was so close, you know.
Yes. No, so, I agree with you. All Sports All Day.
Yeah, I do think those are the two. But there again, it's depending on your viewpoint of what contributions have you made. And Jeff Burton, as the mayor and the safety guy, carries some serious credentials, as well as being a top NASCAR driver. You know, did he win championships? No, he was at RCR.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He did a lot to help improve safety within NASCAR. He was a big part of the Hans device and the barriers. What do you call that? The barriers, safer barriers.
The safer barrier. Yep.
Plus Burton's role in driver safety and his role as a broadcaster. Yes, he is more. He's more in a lot of different areas. I thought he was good on the racetrack. I like the way that he drove. And I know he wasn't winning championships, but I'm okay with that because I respect his integrity as a driver. Burton's role in the car on safety and as a broadcaster, I agree. It's really cool to see him be involved in all those things. But getting back to Harvick, I 100% agree. Same with Biffle, I 100% agree. He did a lot of things off the track too, Biffle, with his humanitarian contributions. And
that's one of those that I think only really came to light over the past 2 years.
Yes.
That again, he was humble. He didn't promote it. He just did it, you know. And same thing when the hurricane hit, he just went out there and did it, and then it got national media attention.
Yeah. So I agree with you, All Sports All Day, and I do think that Harvick is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So we'll see how it plays out, but they've got some great names on there, and Burton's day will come one of these days. We'll see, but I think he's definitely a good nominee. So we'll put it that way.
And that goes back to they're all deserving of recognition. You mentioned Harvick of being a Cup Series champion, as well as the O'Reilly Auto Parts, being a Truck Series owner and championship truck owner winner, if I'm not mistaken. So I do think the nod kind of goes to him a little bit.
Yep, I would agree. Okay, but it's going to be fun to watch. Okay, now this next one, Jay. Yeah, you are Jay.
Yeah,
I called you
Jay. She surprised herself because she called me the right name.
I'm always calling people the wrong name. Okay, Carl Edwards to the Truck Series. Yeah,
In a
he is
Dodge.
doing the happy dance. He's going to drive the Ram, number 25 in the All-Star seat. So that's going to be pretty fun to see.
And I know when Sharon and I were talking about this when we went off the air the other night, this is one when Carl Edwards walked away from Joe Gibbs Racing, and that was when the Dodge rumors had kind of started to pick up. There was some talk about that, or whether or not they could lure Carl Edwards out of his retirement and come back and drive for Dodge, being that he left under contract with Toyota and Joe Gibbs. Man, I was excited. I was excited back in the day when Ray Abraham went to Dodge, and I thought Jeff Gordon might go with him. But this is one of those under this program. I don't think you could have a better driver than Carl Edwards. I like Tony Stewart coming over, but man, I am excited to see Carl Edwards out there.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that too. Do you remember which race it is that he's going to
drive? I know. I apologize. I said I was going to. Let me see if I can get that real quick. I want to say maybe Rockingham, but let me see.
Oh, also NASCAR is considering additional horsepower at larger tracks. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one.
They're looking at it, so they're not opposed to it. Let's say that.
Again, I don't know that that is necessarily the full answer to everything when it comes to better racing. I'm not opposed to it per se. I just don't think that is the answer that everybody thinks it is.
The answer for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Daniel Dye and the long-term impact then. We promise we'll get the exact race, but that Carl Edwards is going to be driving. But I think it's fantastic. I love to see them having that All-Star seat. I'm actually liking it more than I thought I would. I will just say that.
You know, and I'm with that, and I am not coming up with any kind of results here.
I'm going to go a different route.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting anything with the recent story of that to tell me.
Okay, go ahead and talk about the Daniel Dye impact.
Yeah, well, initially it was Chris Rice on Sirius XM talking about how it's bigger than them, which to me implied it was about sponsorships. There for a while, there was like no contact with Daniel Dye. They have now come out and said he is working through the sensitivity training. Again, I don't know what exactly that entails. I know Denny Hamlin did it in a week before his next race, so didn't miss any races. But this is one that, again, I think there's sponsors involved. It could be a career killer, unfortunately, from the way it sounds, that he may not be back in this year. Yeah. Again, I think it depends on that sponsorship.
Oh, did he lose sponsorship over it?
Well, like I said, Chris Rice never outright said. He just said it's bigger than the team, and that they're talking with their partners and sponsors. So, like I said, nothing has been set definitive, but they were comparing it to the Kyle Larson situation. If he were to be out for the whole year, you know, Kyle Larson went to dirt track racing. Daniel Dye doesn't have that to fall back on. Kyle Larson was a proven talent at every level. Daniel Dye doesn't have that to fall back on. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a different situation.
It's kind of a sad situation there. And, you know, we'll see what happens. But, you know, and this is what somebody said it on TV. Everybody's afraid of losing a sponsor over saying certain things. And so they're afraid to say things anymore. So, and this is, unfortunately, Daniel Dye is going to be an example of something like that. And so I think it might cause people to be very thoughtful about what they say.
and here's my take on it, and I said this the other night. I am not condoning what he said. However, from that aspect, that was the first situation. I know he had his situation of what they called off-track behavioral issues, teenager screwing around with another teenager, and an injury happened.
Mhm.
I would hate to see him cost him his career, you know, especially knowing we've had some other drivers that have said some things that I thought were way over the
Yeah.
line, and all they get is a slap on the wrist or whatever. I think Daniel Dye has some talent, and I think it was just beginning to show. I really, with him being with Colleague in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, I thought they were going in a good direction. They opted to move to the trucks. They gave him the opportunity. They put him in one of the trucks. So yeah, again, and throughout the first couple races, saw progression, and so I was excited for it. He is one I've been watching for a couple of years. You know, again, the whole situation in the ARCA Menards Series, again, that was just kids being dumb, and I can't say I haven't been dumb like that. What makes somebody that's more visible it that much more wrong that would cost them their entire career?
Yeah, that's a shame.
You know,
I was hoping if he went through the road road to recovery, or the sensitivity training, that he would be able to come back. Let's see. Forgot about that Danny Dye ARCA lore. That was so funny. Yeah, just a reminder there. There's a reason why we can't figure out which race that Carl Edwards is coming back to. It's because it has not been officially announced. I think he has agreed to it, but
oh,
they have
I
not
thought it did
figured
give
out.
a specific race.
Well, just what I discovered so far.
Okay,
You're saying
that
no
would make
official,
sense because I wasn't finding anything with the date.
so there is no official date. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you think we should be talking about? I'm glad I saw that about they consider this just a news item, that NASCAR is looking at the possibility of higher horsepower on larger tracks.
Yeah, I say I hadn't seen that, and again, I am not opposed to it. I just don't think that is the answer. Again, I want to say fans are fickle about it, but this is not a run what you brung, just open it up class. If you want to have that, go do that somewhere else. And I may get to experience that with some further future announcing gigs, but you know, that is a class to itself. I don't want to see that of what we saw back in the good old days where, you know, if you weren't cheating, you weren't trying to do everything you could to get around the rules. I don't want to see that. I do think NASCAR has gotten a little tight and over tight with it. I want to see them open it up a little, but not throw the rule book out the window either.
Exactly. All sports all day. I agree with you, Jay, 100%. If you guys get a chance, you should watch the Cars Tour LM, the late model race at Wake County from Saturday. Wasn't perfect racing per se, but I haven't been on the edge of my seat that much in a bit. I've heard that race was really, really good. Somebody gave it 1,000,000 to 1.
That was all sports all day earlier.
I
Yeah.
know that was a tongue in cheek, Jay. Somebody told us that was a really good race, and I think it was all sports all day. So, tell us who won that race again? All sports all day, because I did hear something about how great that was.
Isn't that one Keelan one? Oh, no.
Connor Jones. Okay. He said, person who told you that must be a smart guy. I think so.
He's a heck of a statistician, I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you that. Connor Jones. Yeah, that's fantastic. I know in the West, It's a big deal in the West as well, the Cars Tour West. And out here in the East, it
That's
is
the one.
also,
Keelan, you're right. Keelan won out in the West.
yes. Remember, he was the guy who was suspended for dumping Matt Tift at Homestead. Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Minnie Tyrell, Jake Bowman, Caden Cavapo were all in it. Were they all contending at the end? Oh, that's fantastic. I am going to check out that race because I have been hearing how good that race was. And I think we ought to get into Cars Tour a little bit more, Jay.
He said, well, you'll see. Again, he didn't say it was perfect racing, so
Yeah.
it's short track. It's short track racing.
And there was some bumping and grinding going on. So we'll see what happens when we watch it. But thank you for that. At the end, not all, he says. So that's good. So
I got to say this, and I'll send you the picture later, Sharon, if you haven't seen it. But I am becoming a mini Tyrell fan.
You are, okay.
The hood of his car. The hood of his car. The hood of his car has on his hood what's over my shoulder.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you go. Okay, I'm going to do the monologue and then we'll do our watch list here, the outro monologue. Or no, maybe we should do the watch list first. Jesus is Lord. There you go.
That's what the sponsor. Yeah, I saw that this week.
Yep. Okay, so this week's watch list, it starts with NASCAR Hot Topic Sound Off. I haven't heard from Sal if he's got an interview for tomorrow, but if he does, we'll do it tomorrow. And then we will put that out tomorrow as well. But I have a couple of interviews in the wings here. I've got an interview from Sal himself that if he doesn't have an interview tomorrow, we'll put his interview out. I interviewed him last week about he is a photographer out in the West and has gone to the Snowball Derby for several years in a row now. I know he's planning to go back again this year. So we're going to talk to him. I've got that interview in the wings, and I've got an interview with Jay coming up in another week. So we've been interviewing all of our Fan for Racing crew here and some of the things that they're doing when we're not doing podcasting. So watch for those to come out. Also,
you put me in a panic because all of a sudden I thought mine was next week, and when you said something about tomorrow, I was like, oh, do I need to get up tomorrow?
You're next week.
Okay.
And then I know he went to the Cars Tour West race, so he might have somebody from that race. They raced out at Las Vegas. Then also, tomorrow's interview day, we went through that. Wednesday is Race Chat Live Day when Chris Crichton, Taz Taylor, and CJ Sports are online to talk about the midweek hot topics and their thoughts about the race from this past weekend and the upcoming race coming up next weekend. Then Jay and I will do the previews, and then those will come out on Thursday and Friday. And the previews this week are going to be for the races out at Rockingham. There will still be 3 races. The Cup Series is not racing, but they will be racing the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the ARCA East Series. You guys are having your own conversation over there.
Okay. Yeah, he was still talking about Mini Tyrell's hood, but
okay. So, so on Friday, you guys are distracting me though. I'm losing my train of thought. The race on Friday, Taz Taylor and I will come out and give you the fantasy report. No, we won't come out with the fantasy report this week because the Cup Series is not racing this coming week. So there will be no fantasy report this week. So just a heads up on that. So stay tuned for that the following week. But you do want to tune in for the interviews and for the Race Chat Live and Jason, my previews. Anything else you want to add there, Jay?
No, looking forward to then next week. Again, like I said, you put me in a little bit of a panic because I was like, I knew I had one coming up with you, and got some good things to talk about. But yeah, all of a sudden I was like, ooh, do I need to add that to my schedule tomorrow?
Well, we don't want to steal any thunder, so just stay tuned for his interview. Okay. If there's nothing more, then I'm going to go into that's going to be doing it for this edition of Martinsville Magic and Madness right here on Hot Topic Sound Off episode 2609. We're going to close the books on it. From the chaos and confrontation at Martinsville Speedway to the hard-nosed old school racing at Hickory Motor Speedway, this weekend reminded us of exactly why short tracks still bring out the best and boldest in drivers. Whether it was the intensity of the NASCAR Cup Series, the rising talent in the NASCAR O'Reilly Series, or the future stars of the ARCA East Series, one thing is clear. Tempers are heating up, stars are emerging, and the season is just getting started. So be sure to drop your thoughts in the comments. Who impressed you this weekend? Who went too far? And what moment stood out the most for you at Martinsville or Hickory, or the Cars Tour for that matter? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can never miss an episode of Hot Topic Sound Off. Until next time, keep your wheels straight, your bumpers ready, and your opinions loud. This is Fan for Racing Radio.
All right. Well, I got to say this. I know you said the Cup is off this week, but it's another short track following that at Bristol. The other series, the tempers could still continue as they hit Rockingham.
We're still on the short track round here. So take care, everybody. Enjoy your race week, and we'll see you in the next video.